wiring. Now in placement, it's still an estimation because there's no wiring yet. So the estimation of the placement is based on the certain placement locations of all the cells. So that's one estimation. But during that time, there's no clock tree. So clock tree is still ideals and model, like Bart was covering, models by your different latency and skew modeling. And then when after CTS, then everything is calculated and the locations of the cells are known. But CTS wiring estimation still based on these kind of global route. Global route meaning that I plan to have route in certain boxes, for certain signal going through boxes, not very generic lines, but very smartly designed for track assignment. So you're more accurate to the final locations, final routing, but you still an estimation because you don't know in this guy, you have all the layers, the actual layers and all the vias, right? So all these vias. So you actually have, you can calculate the coupling caps between the two wires that go to next to each other at certain distance and everything. So after routing, you have very, very accurate representation of the RC, including the vias and everything. But during routing, when you do RC estimation or RC extraction, it's still not as accurate as when you do a standalone RC extraction using QRC or star RCXC, which is the sign of RC extraction, right? So this is another level. So the accuracy of the RCs during route is really important, that it is as compared as the actual RC generated by the most accurate tool. So these two have to be very similar, so that you won't have surprises in timing. If your placement route say I need timing here, when you do RC extraction, you go to the sign off timing analysis, which is the most accurate way of signing off. This timing in here better not having a lot of surprises compared to what Innovus is seeing in terms of timing. Likewise, what Innovus see as a timing should not be very, very different from what your synthesis is seeing. Right. So what we call is correlation is really important. When you have timing in synthesis, the closer you are to the actual reality, the better. Otherwise, if you're not accurate during this time or during placement or CTS, you have harder time closing timing here, because the later in the flow, the less things that you can do to fix timing. That's a long answer, but
Thank you, Phil.
there you.
So right, and then it's always, as I mentioned, it's always reality is not about you can do like get the best result every single step, right? Because that gonna take forever to finish the chip, right? So usually the tool vendor usually like go with the default, right? Then the early step is good enough, and then move on, right? With a reasonable runtime, and then you move on. Because if you look at it, it's still estimate, right? So even though you try to get like perfect timing in synthesis, in placement, and CTS, it's still estimation, right? So it's get good enough, and then with reasonable runtime, and then you move on, right? So because some of the supposed issue of violation that you've seen in the early step may be bogus, right? So, but the thing with routing is it's the final, right? So what you see in the routing is things that you have to fix. And then if you can't fix, then you have to figure out what went wrong, right? Do we have to go back to CTS? Things that, the estimation didn't do a good job, right? Because they overestimate a portion of the section of the chip, right? Where another one that they think that was violation, but then after routing, it's actually go away. So another set of timing violation pop up that has never show up before, right? So those are the things that that's why it's only a trade-off, right? And then and I think Phil only also touched on the issue between the cell delay and the RC delay, right? So if long time ago, right, people just do synthesis with white loop model, and that's it, right? Because the delay, the cell delay were dominant, right? Let's say 90% of the delay is due to the cell delay. Then why do we care about the wire, right? The RC delay so much? Because it's just a waste of time, right? So, but now the RC delay is dominant, right? That's why if you look at the evolution of the design flow. So what we do is even 4 or 5 years ago, what we do in the back end now start pushing to the front end, right? So now we not only do the synthesis and then we do the place and route. Now the new flow, they actually combine together, right? So when you do synthesis, in a way, calculate you do place and route as well, right? So you create the floor plan and you do synthesis, right? Because you care about the RC delay so much, right? So those are the new
what they
challenges
call
as well, right?
what they call shifting left, right? So you take care of the optimization, on as early as you can, and because of the RC delays is more and more as compared to the transistor delays. Now you force of taking care of the RC delays in synthesis versus just post.
Right, and I think the key is you use, certainly, you have, like, people usually say, if you want to carry something like a tiny bucket, you don't need a truck, right? So that's the thing, is we have to it's kind of like balancing, right? We use the right solution for the right solution. Well, the right solution for the right solution, the problem, right? We look at the problem and then we use it. We don't want to use the same complex solution for a simple problem, right? That's what I'm trying to get at, right? So the thing is, we look at it, we just fix it. The symbols, we need to come up with a seamless solution for the problem at hand, right? So we don't want to come up with the same complex solution for every single problem that we encounter, right? So that's the difference, right? Because we just can't, have like 5, 6 month, 3 month or 6 month to fix certain things, right? So that's a schedule, right? We need to tape out, right? We don't have like all the time to come up with like a perfect chip, right? That's just not realistic, right?
Yeah, plus different steps has different functions, right? Synthesis step, you optimize by picking the right architecture, the right cells in your arsenal of cells. So you cannot start with placement, but you have to start with synthesis. And during placement, you cannot do the same optimization as synthesis does. So it's important to differentiate what different tools, steps do, and why we need to go through timing and power and area closure multiple times, but because each time we attack different things. That goes back to the concept we learned at the very beginning: divide and conquer. That's how you deal with billions of transistors. You need to do multiple steps, and you optimize different things at different.
Right. And if we kind of look at the way that we do things here, right? So we do the floor planning, we do the placement, we do the CTS, and then do the routing. So if we look at those steps, why we do certain things in certain order, right? Because of the cost of changing something, right? So the cost of rewiring a wire is minimal compared to you resizing your die, right? If you're resizing your die, everything changed, right? That's why we do it way up here, right? So you look at the step that we do and the cost associated with that step. So anything that has a really high cost, we do it upfront, right? Things that we can lock them down first, right? The floor planning, right? The macro, right? So think about if you place the macro not as an optimal location and you want to move, you know, just a few micron, you very much have to redo the whole flow again, right? So for routing, we can move some cell, no big deal, right? So
and then close timing with SI, whole time, yeah, etc. Maybe worth just give an overview and then you go to details later.
Right. So yeah, so let's look at the here, I think. So very much with the modern design, very much all the chip is the routing step only divided into two, right? So we do the global routing followed by the detail, right? So say why you have to do that, right? Think about it this way, right? So the the objective, right? We look at the objective is that we need the chip, the design has to be completely 100% routed, right? So and then routed without DSC, right? So if you look at the first portion of it, it has to be routed, you know, OY has to be, ONet has to be connected. So I think that's the objective of the global route to answer the question, is this design can be route? Is that routable, right? Without trying to put down the actual wire and then takes too much time to come up that with that answer, right? So it's like, oh no, I'm gonna try do the routing within a reasonable amount of time, and then if there's some red flags, I'm gonna show you right now, right? By showing you the congestion, right? Things that you have to fix now, right? You don't have to wait until detailed route to figure out that, oh, I can't route the design, right? So that's the kind of like the division of work, right? So okay, so the way to attack is like to answer the question routability, right? That's for the global route. And then if global route come out with a very good result, then yeah, we can go ahead and do the detailed route, right?
Oh, so I want to stop there and ask a question, right? So if during global routing and you find the congestion is pretty bad, maybe the student can answer, what do you do after that? You go forward or you go backward? And what do you do go backward? Where do you go back to? Try to answer to your best guess. If you're guessing. So do you go back or you go forward if you find out global routing has a lot of congestion problems? Yeah, go back to the CTS step. Right. So Ngô Thanh Hào, yeah, I go back is correct. And now I think you should analyze congestion every step, meaning that, right, go back to CTS, to our placement or to floor plan. So the key is that you need to analyze congestion after each step and go back if needed. Meaning in floor plan, you already look at congestion. If it's congested, you change the floor plan. And after floor planning, you should have good congestion, right? After placement, the same way, if you have congested congestion map like this with red and yellow being over congested, then you don't go forward because you don't waste your time. So you don't go fix it. So the same way, you fix until you have a very, very good congestion map in placement and you go forward for CTS and likewise. So if you go back to the page number 2, then yes, during global. So each step you have a different view, right? During placement, you have cells that are placed kind of almost final, but it's not final. So after CTS, you optimize for timing, you have clock trees, you have another set of placement. So go over here, you have a placement of all the cells, and the placement is kind of final. So when you run global routing here, you're very close to final. So during this time, that there should not be any surprises if you model the congestion correctly in CTS or placement or floor planning. But during this time is when you run, and if you have surprises here, that means that previously you didn't do a good job. But only after you have good congestion, then you go through detail routing. And then we can explain the strategy of what you do here, just an overview to understand the methodology going to each step after that, right? So Tien, you want to explain a little bit?
After detail route.
Yeah, maybe I can try.
No,
uh,
I want to add before
yeah,
we touch on that.
yeah,
So you asked the question. So let's say we go and we run global route and it came back with not so good congestion, right? Um, so so the obvious answer is we have to analyze, right? And so you have to look at the number, right? The congestion table, and then you have to look at visually, pull up the GUI and you look at. So so my answer to that is you have to analyze, and not all of the congestion are the same, right? So if you look at uh, is a congestion, it's kind of like global, right? So that means that probably we did not do a good job during previous step, right? It's congestion is everywhere. But if congestion is really bad, but it's very local, and then if it's usually next to a certain macros, right? So usually that's something that you can potentially you can analyze and you can fix without going back, right? So usually that's something that the tool overlook, right? It just, and then when the router tried to do it, it got stuck, right? It tried to squeeze too many wire to a channel, let's say, right? It doesn't know better, right? So it's like, wow, if I can redirect a certain route another direction, then on that local spot, we can fix it, right? So, and then if you have the congestion over the standard cell area, that's different too, right? So yeah, so the simple question is, yeah, so more likely if the congestion is pretty bad, more likely you have to go back, right? But it's not like 100%. So you have to analyze it and see if if it's locally, and it usually have something to do with the macro, more likely you can come up with something to fix it without going back, right? So
yeah, that's fair. Meaning that if the fixing doesn't require a lot of movement of the cells, and it involves optimization of the wirings, then absolutely don't go back, right? Because wiring is what router does best. But if it requires some replacement of the cells or the macros, you better off going back to what you call the placer, right? Because the placer is a tool to use for placement optimization. When you adjust placement during routes, you don't have the good setup, and you will mess up big time if you have to move placement of macros and cells, even though they're local. But if there are enough of them, the router cannot do placement as well as the placement engine. So that's why depends on your problem I agree with Tian. Sometimes the problem can be addressed without going back. Yeah. So,
Right,
but
and another thing is the thing we talk about. I think let's touch about this here. Let me see. Yeah. So multiple things that the router had to look at, right? So we try to get good congestion, but timing not so good. And then say, well, so let run timing driven routing. So when you run timing driven routing, usually is because the tool say, well, let focus on timing, right? So congestion not going to be good, but timing going to be better. So that's a trade-off, right? So you kind of have to know the design, see, well, should I focus on get really good congestion before I try to meet timing, right? Or say I try to meet timing first and try to alleviate the congestion later, right? So those are the things that you have to consider, right? It's there's no one formula to work for all the, I mean, within the design, with the, between the blocks of the design, right? Sometimes you have to use a different strategy as well, right? So because of the nature of the block, right? How's the macros place, how the pinout is, it's very different. So don't think of, you come up with, say, one formula that work for all, right? So there's no such thing, but understanding, right? That's a trade-off, right? So how far you want to push your timing to a point that you think, yes, I can go back in and make the congestion better without, timing violation, right? Or say, wow, early on, it's okay. I know just a handful of timing violation, but I try to push the keep the congestion really, really, really good. And then later on, just go fix the remaining timing pad, because only a handful is, it's not going to change the congestion very much, right? So those are the things that I have to look at.
yeah, yeah, I like to so I think you have planned for it. So we're gonna talk about these steps, right? In detail of strategy yeah, later on, right? Because it's important to know each what do you look at after each step. But for now, it remaining 5 minutes. Can we use, unless you have something else to talk about, can we use the remaining minutes to talk a little bit about the final project?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so I just want to make sure that I noticed a few people already left, right? And it's important for you to know, even though it appears that we might not have a lot to cover, but what we cover really, really important for you. So I would encourage um, the attendance be counted. Don't be late, and some people show up 15 minutes, 30 minutes afterwards, and don't leave early. Some people left like half an hour early because they think there's nothing going on, but, or because of some reasons. But I strongly encourage you to stay the 2 full hours, because what we cover in classes will be helpful in terms of your doing the final exams, which we plan to have a final project in a few days, 10 days or more, on the 26th or so. We're going to announce the project, what you need to work on, and you have a few weeks to work on your project. And at the same time, we're going to have written exam, in-person exam, that you're going to have in the final a couple of weeks before the final days. And we use the project and the written exam to as an evaluation for the certification at the end. And so the project will be counted as 60%, and the written exams will be 30% and 10% on your attendance and activities. So please be reminded that you also your attendance are being taken, so that the TA teams or different regions will have an evaluation on your attendance related to your deposit, etc. But I'm going to share the details, the messages on the Google Class, but I strongly encourage people to attend the classes fully, so you can receive information that you need for the final exams and projects.
So Phil, is it 60%? The breakdown is 60 and 30 and 10. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what we decided. But like I said, we're gonna formally announce those things. I know we should have done it at the very beginning, but this is the pilot class, so we work with different universities and regions, and we teachers, Trisomy teachers work with different TAs in different regions, different universities, and we didn't come to the conclusion until a few weeks ago. So we are trying to finalize everything so we can make an announcement, but hopefully there's enough time for the students to do a good job in terms of the final evaluation. But so the reason why I mentioned it early, because if you don't, that the project and the exams will be related directly to what been taught, during these lecture hours and all, and with the labs that we have. So if you don't understand certain things and you worry about not doing a good job in final exams and projects, please feel free to ask questions. If you shy, you don't ask questions here, best that you ask question here, or you can just contact us via the Google Classroom and start asking questions on things that you don't know, or even the question might be, hey, I need help in certain areas, but don't say I need help and please cover from lesson 1 to 20, and then we won't be able to do it. But you have specific questions you need help on, please let us know. Like I said, via this chat room, via speaking, or via the Google Classroom, just reach out to the teaching staff. Okay. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say, Jen.
Okay, I think we're right on time. Thank you, Phil. So thank you, Bat and Dave and Vũ. I think all of you was here so to support me. So that's right. And thank you, student, for the question. So yeah, we encourage you to participate more. So yeah, it's always good to have the lecture, but I think it's make it interactive is even better, right? So okay, I think that's it.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. See you later.
All right. See you on Friday morning in Vietnam. Okay. Bye.
Recording stopped.